Hey G.I. Joe fans, Joe Motion Videos 82 here. It is time for another G.I. Joe toy review. Today we'll be taking a look at one of the more interesting items in the G.I. Joe universe. It's not really an action figure and it's not really a vehicle, but according to yojo.com, well, I shouldn't say according to them, but they have it listed as a vehicle because there really is no subsection for it. The little play sets like the mortar defense unit is also listed under vehicle. So it's more of a thing or a what. And what we're looking at today is the S.N.A.K.E armor. It is another infamous Hasbro acronym, S.N.A.K.E meaning Systems Neutralizing Armed Cloaking Equipment. The S.N.A.K.E armor is really interesting in its own way. I didn't have it as a kid, but a few of my friends did, and we really didn't play with it. I remember the first time going over to John's house, and he had his S.N.A.K.E armor. I took a look at it, asked him what it was. He says S.N.A.K.E armor. He said, you put an action figure on the inside of it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Out it went. We didn't play with it because it really didn't have much of a play value. But as an adult collector, I'm starting to appreciate it more. Appreciating the science behind it, the artistry, the time it took from concept to creation, just all those little steps involved in it, from its original sketches to making the clay mold and then the wax mold and blah 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 blah, and how they went through the process. I appreciate that aspect behind it. But there's two people I need to thank for this. One is Only Joe's for selling me the S.N.A.K.E armor at a very reasonable price. So thank you very much. Go ahead and check him out, Only Joe's, on eBay. He has some great stuff for sale. And Crapazoid 1, cool name. He sold me the frame, also at what I feel to be a reasonable price. And I'll talk about the frame as we go into it. It's one of those pieces that's kind of hard to find. So go ahead and check out both of those guys on eBay. They have some very nice things for sale. They not only have G.I. Joe, but they have other collectible items as well. So getting into the little more of the history behind the S.N.A.K.E armor, it first made its debut in the toy stores here in the U.S. in 1983 and was sold through 1984 when it was discontinued in 1985. There were two variants of the S.N.A.K.E armor. There was the white and the blue one. The blue S.N.A.K.E armor looks much cooler than the white, and it is also a lot harder to find and a lot more expensive. The S.N.A.K.E armor came with many small parts. It also made its first cartoon appearance in the 1984 miniseries Revenge of Cobra. This is where Cobra has created the Weather Dominator, and it blew up, pieces shot into outer space, blah blah blah, fell down different sections of the planet on Earth, and G.I. Joe team was having to go around and collect it. But they were inside of it was inside of a cave where Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Tripwire, I think, were inside of this cave, and the S.N.A.K.E armor was in there as a robot, and Snake Eyes sacrificed himself going into this area that was radioactive, picking up a canister of radioactive equipment, or like not equipment, but a canister of some radioactive material that they needed to power their weather dominator, their own weather dominator. And he became hot, or radioactive. That was actually one of the only few of the times where you saw Snake Eyes' hands. Other times he was wearing gloves. He went without gloves in that episode, and he also met Timber. But that was a really cool miniseries. I just recently watched it again. I had recorded it on DVR, and it was really neat. It was a good episode, and I remember as a kid in the cartoons, I hated the snake armor. I was afraid of it because it seemed to be indestructible. I was about 10 years old, and children at that time, you know, your imagination's just flying. You're really engrossed in the cartoon. It's more real for you. And the snake armor scared me. And in the cartoon, its only weak spot was on its back. And of course, the Joes exploited that and destroyed them. So, right. So let's go ahead and let's get into the review here. All right, so here it is, snake armor. I have it dismantled to show you the various different parts. It's almost like a puzzle. Right here is the frame of the armor. It's made of this rubber. You could either put an action figure on the inside, or you could put this rubber frame in there so you could play with the armor as a robot. This is a piece that's very commonly missing, simply because kids didn't really play with it. If they were going to use the armor, at least with my friends, when we didn't use the armor, this piece got lost. I remember John telling me about it, and he said, I just keep an action figure in there so the armor stays together. But this really wasn't a piece that was played with that much, so it's frequently missing. And this, I must say, is it fetches a higher price on the aftermarket, from about $9 on up, just for this silly little piece of rubber. Okay, so the snake armor comes with many different accessories. It has a power claw, which attaches into these little, I would say, grommets, and it just, they snap right in there fairly easily. These are made of a hard rubber. Has a flamethrower, a missile, likewise snaps into the rubber grommet, and a machine gun. And these little grommets have holes on the end of it that attach onto the arms. I'll be referring to the blueprints while describing the armor. Part number 1, which would be the body of the armor, is anti-missile armor plating. This is a bulletproof viewing shield. Communications interface, this grill looking section. Number 4, an oxygen canister. Of course, the soldiers need to breathe while they're on the inside. This is the external interface module. The number 6 really doesn't, it's its classification number. Each figure or each snake armor, they all came with the number 6. I do not have the sticker sheet, so I can't tell you if the snake armor you were allowed to choose what number went with it. So sorry about that. So if any of you guys know, please let me know if it came with various numbers on it. Then it had a fire extinguishing system, which is here on the back of its leg. It's so much more. I won't go through everything. It will take way too long. So assembling the armor, it's kind of like a puzzle all in itself. So I'm going to demonstrate using my Cobra stinger driver. So first and foremost, I don't think there's really any way to put this together in any order. The legs have these little pegs on them. They are kind of thick, and it slots right into these little holes. So be careful with this because the pegs can break off. There we go. So let's go ahead and put the armor plating on over the leg of said action figure. Attach the leg. This is where it gets really frustrating. And do the same with the other side. Looks kind of goofy so far. The arms, they have these rubber discs that just slot in to the inside of the armor. You can see there are some stickers in there with a viewing screen and a computer keyboard. It's very nicely sculpted. I mean, they did a very good job with the armor. So those things just slot in there. Now the arms of the figure just fit right inside. And you snap the back on it, and voila, you have a figure inside the snake armor. Now, since it came with 4 accessories, this is kind of interesting. For the technology of its time, I understand. But these little slots here on the back, you just peg the accessories onto there as a way of storage, which it's pretty cool. I mean, we didn't get very many action figures that had storage back in that time. So there you have it. Cobra inside of the snake armor. Now I want to point out a little bit of yellowing on here, which is pretty typical for the action figures, especially the whiter ones. The white ones, you can see my Storm Shadow here. He's starting to yellow. Also, the lighter shades of blue would yellow as well. And I pointed this out in my last review. I said the only way to prevent yellowing was to keep it out of sunlight, lock your toys up in a plastic container and stuff in the closet, but a friend and viewer, Ed Gantry, told me to use silica packets, those little bags of silica that you get with just about anything. They come in shoes, they come in medication bottles, so on and so forth. He said just keep that around with your collection, and that will keep it from yellowing. And I looked that up, and sure enough, on yojo.com, specifically on the site for the snake armor, it mentions moisture causing some yellowing. So there you have it. So thank you very much for sharing that with me, Ed. I really appreciate that. So I stand corrected. So put silica packets with your G.I. Joes, and that will help prevent yellowing. So the only points of articulation on this snake armor, obviously, are the arms. I wouldn't really call the legs articulated, because you try to move it and your figure starts to fall out. So the articulation is substandard, and I could really see why we didn't play with this as a kid. It really, you know, it didn't have much fun. It didn't, you know, the play value on it was a lot, left a lot to be desired. So the parts that are easily lost, obviously, are his accessories, and as aforementioned, the rubber frame. Yeah, this one has been a tough one to review because it's so small. It doesn't have very many play features to it. So I was hard pressed to find a lot of material to give you a full review on it. But there were other releases of the snake armor. It was released in Europe as Escape armor under the Action Force brand. That came in red, and it was released in India in the early 90s that it was gray. So those are two variants that, or two colors that it came in, but there were no variations of the actual design of the armor. So I guess that's what they meant by no known variants are to exist. Even the modern snake armor, which sells very cheap, that came out in 2009, it sells for about $10, and they did not deviate from the design at all from what I could find. I don't have the modern one. I'm not really anxious to buy the modern snake armor, but it is the same, and it even comes with the number 6. It is really common on the aftermarket, the vintage. So if you are looking for it, it's out there. It's out there in abundance. The smaller pieces will fetch you a little bit a higher price. Like I mentioned, the rubber frame. It's not complete without it, and these are hard to find. Like I said before, that really doesn't have much of a play feature to it. It's more for display purposes. Kids just threw it off to the side, forgot about it, and lost it. So, you know, that goes for $9 on up. The body of the armor is $10 per piece on up. Now, for a full suit, it's $25 on up. That's without the blueprints. If you want it with the blueprints, you're going to pay a little bit more. The blueprints / direction sheet by itself is about $5.99. And the little accessories, the connectors or the grommets, They're $1.19 on up. The missile is $1.75. Before I forget, I do have a spare missile that I'm not using, so if any of you guys watching as of today, I still have it. So if you want one, let me know in the comments, and I will be more than happy to mail it to you. So if you're looking for a missile, I have an extra one. The claw goes for $2.99. The flamethrower goes for $2.99. The machine gun is $2.99, and those prices go up. These aren't auction prices, these are fixed prices. There are many pieces of this that are out on the auction block, and they do fetch some pretty good, some pretty decent prices from what I've noticed. And yeah, the arms, legs, accessories, those tend to be more of an auction item than they are a flat retail. So it's out there. It's very available. I do suggest that you get one. It's for me, it's not a top shelf accessory slash vehicle slash action figure slash whatever. It's a middle shelf toy for me, simply because I like the sculpt of it. It looks pretty cool, but it doesn't hold much sentimental value for me, and sentimentality plays a big role in how I rank my toys. Yeah, it just wasn't a childhood favorite, so therefore it's a bottom shelf or a middle shelf toy for me. But I do suggest that you get one. It is pretty cool. It looks great with your collection. So, well, I'm really groping with this one. You know, these small things are pretty tough to do a review on. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing, for watching my channel. Please share this video. Because when I reach 100 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway, and in July is my year anniversary, so I'll be holding another giveaway. And I promise you those will be some very nice toys that I'll be giving away. Yeah, just my way of thanking you guys for watching. So with all of that being said, this has been Joe Motion Videos 82, signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.